Remothered Tormented Fathers is a survival horror game that is a spiritual successor to the Clock Tower franchise. You know Clock Tower, that rotting plank of wood that feels like it was written by an ADHD child that had watched way too many C-listed horror movies. I can't fathom why people are a fan of this dull, surreal game, but if that's what it takes to get Remothered Tormented Fathers, then congratulations to Clock Tower, you inspired an above-average survival horror game. Now back to the void where you can be forgotten again. In recasted Distorted Fathers, you play Rosemary. She's investigating a missing girl named Jennifer at a spooky mansion. She begins questioning the father of the missing girl and his mental health, but she gets kicked out for intense questioning. Gloria came up with a brilliant plan that certainly will not backfire. She's going to sneak back into the mansion to dig out the truth. Surely enough, she gets trapped in the mansion with the father who turns out to be a psychopath trying to murder you. And that is as much as I got from the story before it became a convoluted mess with no resolution. A mystery is great and all, but if it's not well explored and have no clear resolution, then I'm going to feel no satisfaction for going through hell and back. For any writers out there, here's a great question you should always ask yourself. Do you have the resolution that puts an end to the story? If the answer is no, then go back and write a resolution. I understand you guys want to do a sequel, but there are superior ways of handling it than an unsatisfying cliffhanger. I can hear some of you saying, if the story didn't make sense, perhaps you should play through it again to find missing clues. My response is, bollocks to that! I didn't even complete the game because of Toad in Her Mouth Rosemary, and the inconsistent rules was making my blood boil. So I watched the rest on YouTube, which is a darn shame because I enjoyed the gameplay when the rules were being fair. Reswapped Warped Daddy's gameplay is reminiscent of Clock Tower, where you can only run, hide, and have a defense capability of a beaver against a chainsaw. Gameplay would be indeed fun if it was fair. No matter where you are, the killer always sounds close by despite being on the opposite side of the map, and you can never tell if they're below or above you. Especially when you are hiding. Then they sound like they are coming from the right, but they are coming from the left. Jason Voorhees must have taught these psychopaths well, because if you so much sprint for 0.2 seconds because you're trying to move the pace along, the whack jobs will be right on your chocolate dispenser before you can say, "Damn you, Jason." Pacing is another glaring issue because all you can do is crawl at a snail's pace while backtracking for the 100th time through this same living room and solving tedious puzzles. The original Resident Evil game would smack this game across the head for how absurd it is with the backtracking and puzzles. In order to unlock this door, you need a key, but to get that key, you need to retrieve it from this bathtub, but it's stuck in the drain, so you have to go 2 floors down and retrieve the plunger, then go all the way back up the stairs while avoiding the father. You unclog the bathtub, but the key went down the drain and is now underneath the water drainer, which is at the bottom floor. You get there and it turns out you can't lift the water drainer because it's too heavy, so now you have to come up with a new solution to figure this out, and once you do, the power turns out and oh god, it never ends! On the bright side, this gives you plenty of opportunities to admire the atmosphere that you will get sick of looking at. The atmosphere is like a painting that you hung up on your wall. It's very nicely detailed and gorgeous to look at, but if you stare at it for 6 hours straight, you will get bored and wish it would spice things up a bit. It does, and is a breath of fresh air that you can only inhale for 2 minutes before going back to the same tiresome environment. Resident Evil used the entire mansion as well outside environments. In retowered Snippy Papas, it feels like you only explored 1/4 of the mansion and making it feel smaller than it really is. It's a missed opportunity to include other environments like gated garden with a maze and a secret lab or a greenhouse. Most of you are probably wondering, how can I consider this to be a slightly above average game? You see, it is a slight above average game when the rules are consistent. When it's consistent, Remothered is a fun, chasey hide and seek horror game. I'm not gonna lie that the game did scare me quite a bit, and its ambience is fantastic. I recommend picking up this game when they patch it up, but that's a hard recommendation. You still have to deal with the snail pacing, disappointing plot with no real resolution, samey environment, tedious puzzles, and uninteresting characters. It's better than Clock Tower, but so is Deadly Premonition.